A few times a year, a man walks into that dealership carrying a scanner and starts counting the mowers. Out loud. He is not a customer. He is there for the company financing the inventory. The dealer beside that brand new mower may not have paid for it outright. A lender can have money tied to that exact serial number. And while you are being sold the word new, that machine may already have 2 summers of aging in its battery, belts, fuel system, or lithium pack before you ever turn the key. The starting battery ages. Belts sit wrapped around the same pulleys. Demo fuel can sit in the carburetor. A lithium pack ages on the calendar even when the hour meter never moves. And here is the part buyers often discover too late. Some of the same things most vulnerable to long storage can also fall under warranty limits or exclusions involving wear, batteries, fuel, or storage-related deterioration. I found 12 categories getting trapped in the one place a mower makes nobody money, sitting on the floor. One can still be subject to an open federal recall. One can lose a huge piece of its apparent value because the market moved underneath it. And one is the machine most buyers walk past, yet the one I would seriously consider buying myself. I will also show you why the dustiest leftover in the building may be the exact machine the dealer has the least room to cut. New means unsold. It does not necessarily mean unaged. Number 1 is the entry-level 42-inch lawn tractor with a single-cylinder engine, roughly in the $2,400 to $2,600 neighborhood. Every major paint color has some version of it. Stamped hood, 17 or 18 horsepower, hydrostatic pedals, and a price that used to mean cheap and now feels like a commitment. The engine is not the part I would look at first. Look between the rear wheels. Many machines in this class use a small residential hydrostatic transaxle. Some common units are treated as low-maintenance assemblies and do not give you a convenient external drain plug. On certain tough torque K46 type units, for example, fluid service involves removing the transaxle and draining it through the fill opening before refilling it according to the manufacturer's procedure. That does not make the transaxle defective. It does mean servicing it is nothing like pulling a drain plug from an engine. And this is where the sticker stops telling you what you need to know. 2 tractors can wear almost the same hood and badge while carrying different model numbers and component specifications. Big box and dealer channel versions can differ. Sometimes the difference is trivial, sometimes the part you care about is the drive unit. Do not shop the hood. Get the full model number, pull the exact parts diagram, and find the transaxle. Read the warranty in hours, not just years. 2 years sounds comforting until you divide the hour cap by your own lawn. 30 or 40 hours a season turns 120 hours into 3 or 4 summers. That does not mean the drive is waiting to die the day coverage ends. It means the comforting number on the brochure may be much smaller in real life than it sounds. Now price the difference. Fluid service may cost tens of dollars in materials. A replacement transaxle can cost several hundred before labor, and the installed bill can climb much higher depending on the machine and the shop. Before you admire horsepower, price the part that can ruin your afternoon. Number 2 is the machine many people walk straight past. The manual gear 42-inch tractor. 6 or 7 forward speeds, a lever, a clutch pedal, and usually a price below the hydrostatic version. 20 years ago, this did not look strange. Today, a buyer sees the clutch, imagines stopping on a slope with a cart behind him, and keeps walking toward the hydro. He may be paying more for convenience and more complexity at the same time. A manual transaxle is mechanically simpler than a hydrostatic drive and can be cheaper to repair. It still has an engine, starting battery, fuel system, belts and tires, so shelf time can still touch the rest of the tractor, but the transmission itself is easier to understand and usually easier to reason through when something goes wrong. That matters on a machine you may keep for a decade. I am not saying everybody should buy one. On a property where you constantly change speed or direction, a hydrostatic tractor is far nicer to use. But if your ground is flat to gently rolling and you care more about serviceability than pedal convenience, do not let the clutch pedal make the decision for you. Remember this machine. I am coming back to it at the end. Number 3 is the 30-inch rear engine rider. Engine behind you, small footprint, fits through gates, a 42-inch tractor cannot. Turns inside a tight yard. If you own 1/3 of an acre chopped up by fencing, beds, and narrow passages, this may be the most sensible mower in the building, and it still loses the showroom comparison. The reason is simple. It costs real money, often around a couple of $1,000s, and a larger tractor may be sitting 20 feet away for only a few hundred more. The customer sees more deck for a little more money and feels like the answer is obvious. It is only obvious until he gets home and measures the gate. The other thing I would check before buying a low-volume category is parts support. Look up the deck belt and drive belt for the exact model. See whether the numbers have been superseded. See whether more than one supplier carries them. See whether the machine uses any odd model-specific wear parts. The difference between a belt available from 6 places and a dealer-only belt with a midsummer lead time is invisible on the showroom tag. You find out what it costs when the machine is dead and the grass is growing an inch a week. Now let me explain why the dusty machine at the end of the row is not automatically your best bargaining target, because this is where the man with the scanner comes back. Dealers often finance inventory through a floor plan, a revolving credit line tied to specific machines. The lender may be the manufacturer's finance arm or an outside bank. The unit arrives, the inventory is financed, and the lender can hold a security interest tied to the serial number sitting on that floor. Floor plan programs vary, but many include an interest-free or subsidized period. 90 days, 6 months, sometimes a seasonal program. When that support ends, carrying cost starts to matter. Some agreements also require curtailments, scheduled principal paydowns on inventory that has not sold by certain dates. The part buyers usually miss is what happens as those paydowns accumulate. The lender balance can shrink while the dealer's own cash tied up in that slow unit grows. So an old mower may be costing the dealer more every month while also becoming harder for him to cut deeply without taking a painful hit. Dust does not automatically mean desperation. Sometimes the newer unit beside it is easier to discount because it arrived with fresh floor time, a factory rebate, or some other manufacturer support. The old unit may be the one the dealer has already started feeding with his own cash. The age of the dust does not tell you the shape of the deal behind it. And if a financed unit is sold and the lender is not paid what the agreement requires, the trade has a phrase for that: sold out of trust. That can threaten a dealer's floor plan relationship quickly, which is one reason somebody comes in and verifies inventory serial by serial. The man with the scanner is not there because the dealership forgot what is sitting on its floor. He is there because somebody else has money attached to those serial numbers. Keep that in your head when you negotiate. The sticker tells you the retail price. It does not tell you which unit the dealer has the most room on today. Number 4 is the entry residential zero turn, roughly between $3,700 and $4,000. On paper, these can look like the deal of the aisle. V-twin engine, dual hydrostatic drive, higher ground speed, heavier looking frame. On some models, residential warranty terms that look better than what sits one aisle over. The questions start with slopes. Conventional zero turns can be less forgiving on grades than tractors, and sustained hill work puts heat and load into the drive system. Owners and shops do report hydrostatic performance complaints on heavily worked entry machines, but there is no honest universal hour at which that happens. The exact drive unit, the slope, the load, cooling, and use matter more than a number somebody repeats online. So identify the hydro units before you buy. Spec sheets love telling you horsepower, deck gauge, ground speed, seat height, and cup holder count. Then some of them go strangely quiet around the component that can turn into the most expensive repair on the machine. That silence is not proof of a bad transaxle, but it is a good reason to stop admiring the cup holders and get the drive unit model number yourself. And then there is the accessory that can kill the sale after the buyer has already decided he wants the mower, the bagger. A customer with trees wants to collect leaves. On some residential zero turns, the complete collection system can add hundreds of dollars and can climb well past $1,000 once all required pieces and installation are counted. Suddenly the $4,000 mower is not a $4,000 mower anymore. Price the bagger before you fall in love with the machine. That one number can move a buyer back to a tractor faster than any argument about horsepower. Number 5 is the battery zero turn in the $6,000 to $7,000 class. I have less hands-on time with battery riders than with gas riders, so I am not going to pretend otherwise. The part I do not need to guess about is price volatility. Large battery zero turns have entered the market at premium prices and then been discounted sharply. Clearance photos can make the drops look spectacular, although one store dumping inventory is not the national market price. What matters is what that does to buyer psychology. If a machine launched near one number and somebody can show you a dramatically lower number on his phone, the dealer's floor stock suddenly has a valuation problem even if nothing is wrong with the mower. The machine may cut beautifully. The buyer's problem is simpler. He no longer knows whether today's price is a deal or tomorrow's regret. Then add the calendar. A gas machine that sits may leave you with stale fuel, a weak starting battery, or weathered rubber. A lithium pack also ages with time. Heat and long storage at high state of charge can accelerate capacity loss. You usually will not get a complete storage history, and the machine cannot show you exactly how much calendar aging happened before you arrived. That is calendar age the hour meter cannot show you. If a battery rider spent 2 summers in heat and at a high state of charge, I want the build date, I want whatever battery health information the manufacturer or dealer can provide, and I want that age reflected in the conversation about price. Stale fuel can be drained, a carburetor can be cleaned, lost cell capacity does not pour back into the pack. The upside is real. Battery riders are quiet, responsive, and free of carburetor problems. The honest limit is range, and range depends heavily on battery size, grass, terrain, blade load, and temperature. Do not buy from a generic acres per charge claim alone. Compare the manufacturer's test conditions with your property and ask how long a full recharge takes with the charger actually included. Number 6 is the battery lawn tractor. Same basic market problem, smaller numbers. Prices on some 42-inch electric tractors have moved enough from season to season that buyers hesitate to be early, but the sticker is today's question. The battery platform is the 5-year question, so look past the mower itself. Is the battery shared across other machines in the manufacturer's line, or is it unique to this one tractor? How long does the manufacturer say packs and chargers will remain supported? Can the charger be replaced independently? Can the pack be serviced or diagnosed through a dealer? What does a replacement cost today? A single product battery platform is not automatically a dead end, but a pack used across a broad family gives you something a brochure never lists under horsepower. A larger installed base and more reason for the manufacturer to keep supporting it. That is 6 down. And now the uncomfortable part, because this is where storage and warranty language collide. A mower can sit through a hot summer, a cold winter, and another hot summer while the hour meter still looks innocent. 0 hours does not mean zero aging. Fuel can age. A lead-acid starting battery can sulfate if it sits partially discharged. Rubber can harden, weather, or take a set. Tires can crack. Rodents can damage wiring. Insects can build under decks and shrouds. A lithium pack can lose capacity on the calendar. None of that proves a leftover mower is bad. A careful dealer can store equipment properly and deliver an old stock machine in excellent condition. But age-sensitive parts do not care whether a salesman has written a buyer's name on the invoice yet. Now pull the actual limited warranty, not the brochure. Not the big number on the sign, the warranty statement for that exact machine. Read what it covers, then read what it refuses to cover. The language changes by brand, but normal wear items commonly include things like belts, blades, tires, filters, and spark plugs. Batteries may have separate or shorter terms. Damage connected to improper storage, environmental deterioration, stale fuel, or contaminated fuel may sit outside normal manufacturing defect coverage depending on the warranty. Now put the two lists beside each other. Belts, tires, batteries, fuel, storage-related deterioration. It is not a perfect one-for-one match across every manufacturer. It does not need to be. There is enough overlap that I would never let the word new end the inspection. That is the part of this video worth remembering, even if you forget every model category. Unsold is not the same thing as unaged. Number 7 is the steering wheel zero turn. Instead of lap bars and free caster front wheels, machines in this category coordinate front wheel steering with the rear drive controls. The goal is better directional control and, on some models, more confidence on terrain where a conventional zero turn can feel nervous. On paper, it solves a real complaint. On the floor, it creates a different one. The buyer came in wanting a zero turn because zero turns look quick and purpose-built. Now he is staring at a steering wheel that reminds him of the tractor he thought he was upgrading from, except the price is higher. The engineering advantage is difficult to see from 10 feet away. Resale enters the conversation. If almost nobody in the area owns one, the buyer has no local reference for used value. Unknown resale does not make the machine bad. It makes the decision harder. Hard decisions sit longer. If you are considering one, ignore the generic slope number somebody repeats from memory and read the operator's manual for that exact model. That is the number that matters. Number 8 is not a machine failure at all. It is a measuring failure, and it can cost thousands before the engine even has a chance to disappoint you. The 54 or 60-inch residential zero turn looks fantastic on a wide showroom floor. Big deck, big productivity, big machine for the money, until it meets a 48-inch gate, or the narrow path between the shed and the fence, or a trailer that is already too small, or a rolling yard where a wider deck scalps every crown the smaller mower used to follow. A wide deck can absolutely save time on open ground. It also needs room to turn, room to store, room to transport, and a property flat enough to use the width well. This category creates one of the simplest buying mistakes in the business because the fix costs nothing and almost nobody does it. Measure the narrowest gate before you go shopping, not after, before. Number 9 is the premium garden tractor in the $5,000 to $6,000 range. This is where the residential machines start feeling serious. Heavier frame, stronger front axle, better hitch, better deck hardware. Machines built for people who expect to keep them. I like this category, which is exactly why it is interesting that it can be hard to sell. At $5,000 or $6,000, the mower is no longer competing only with cheaper mowers. Depending on the local used market, it starts brushing against older compact tractor territory. Put a loader on a compact tractor and suddenly the customer is comparing mowing against moving gravel, mulch, firewood, and snow. The premium garden tractor can be the better mower and still lose the purchase. It can also be the smartest long-term money in the building for somebody who needs exactly a mower, wants to keep it for 15 years, and values heavier construction. Being the right machine and being the easiest machine to sell are not the same job. Number 10 is the machine whose serial number changes the conversation before the engine ever starts, one covered by an open safety recall. In November 2025, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission announced a recall covering about 650 model year 2025 Spartan riding mowers. The issue involves steering arm dampers that could be installed incorrectly, which could cause unexpected bouncing and possible loss of control. The notice listed 15 reports and 1 minor injury. The remedy was a free dealer inspection and repair. That is not a reason to panic. It is what a recall system is supposed to do. Identify the affected serials, repair them, and document the fix. But finding out after you sign the paperwork is backwards. And do not stop at the mower badge. In June 2024, Kawasaki recalled about 68,500 engines used across 7 lawn and garden equipment brands because the engines could overheat and create a fire and burn hazard. The mower and the engine can have separate recall histories, so search both. Model and serial for the mower, model and serial for the engine. If a recall applies, ask for proof that the remedy was completed on that exact unit. That check takes minutes. Skip it, and your first experience with a brand new machine can be taking it straight back to the service department. Number 11 is the small rider that lost a customer to a machine with no seat at all, the robot mower. A quarter-acre or half-acre homeowner no longer has to choose only between pushing a mower and buying a small rider. Newer robot systems can work without a buried boundary wire, removing one of the installation hassles that used to make the whole job feel like a landscaping project. I am not going to build this argument on global market size estimates because those numbers vary wildly depending on what each research firm decides to count. The useful part is visible without a market report. Every homeowner who replaces a small rider with a robot is one fewer buyer for the smallest machines on the dealer floor. That does not mean robots are going to erase riding mowers. Large properties, rough terrain, towing, bagging, and heavy seasonal work keep riders relevant. But the bottom end of the rider market now competes with a product category that barely mattered to it a few years ago. A whole section of the showroom acquired a new competitor without changing anything on the mower itself. Number 12 is the one that explains why a leftover can sit beside the new model and still refuse to become cheap. Last year's unsold machine wearing this year's price. Input costs, parts pricing, and tariff exposure changed going into 2026, and some manufacturers passed increases through to dealers. The exact percentage is brand specific and can change, so one circular is not an industry-wide law. The mechanism is what matters. Replacement cost. If the dealer knows the next machine will cost more to put back on the floor, that changes how aggressively he wants to sell the one already sitting there. So when the new model arrives at a higher price, the leftover does not automatically get cheaper. It may get discounted, and factory support can turn it into a bargain. But a higher replacement cost can also give the old unit room to sit exactly where it is. Financing can kill a sale all by itself. Some promotions are true 0% financing. Others are deferred interest offers where failing to clear the promotional balance can trigger interest calculated back to the purchase date. Those are completely different products wearing similar giant zeros on the sign. Read the disclosure. A mower can look affordable until the buyer puts the financing terms into his phone and realizes the number on the tag was only the first number that mattered. Now go back to the warranty because there is one more clock hiding in it. Many manufacturers begin consumer coverage at retail purchase or delivery, but the fallback language when proof of purchase is missing can differ, and batteries or engines may carry separate terms. On some products, manufacture date can become relevant when the retail date cannot be established, so keep the receipt. Photograph it the day you buy the machine. Register the mower if the manufacturer offers registration. Store the receipt somewhere you can find it after the paper copy has spent 5 summers fading in a drawer. Read the identification labels before you sign. The mower has its own model and serial number. The engine has separate identification. Those dates do not have to match exactly, but if the engine appears substantially older than the chassis or the machine is older than the story you were told, ask why. The explanation may be completely ordinary. You still want to hear it before the sale. There does not need to be a conspiracy here. That is what makes the lesson more useful, not less. Where items are excluded for defensible reasons. Floor plan curtailments are normal finance tools. Batteries age because of chemistry. Fuel goes stale because fuel goes stale. A dealer can follow every rule and still have a machine on the floor that has aged more than the customer realizes. Stack those ordinary facts together and one uncomfortable truth appears. The time between the factory and your garage has a cost. If you do not inspect for it, some of that cost can land on your side of the deal without ever appearing on the price tag. Nobody has to trick you. The system can do it quietly all by itself when finance, storage, and warranty rules meet one machine. Now let me give you the procedure I would carry into the building. Do not use a rule of thumb. Use 5 checks. 1. Date the machine. Write down the mower model and serial number. Write down the engine identification separately. Ask how long that exact unit has been in inventory. Do not settle for this year's model if what you want to know is whether it arrived 6 weeks ago or survived 2 summers on the back row. 2. Identify the drive unit, not the brand on the hood. The exact transaxle or transmission model. Use the tag on the unit or the exact parts diagram. Next, look up the manufacturer's service information, fluid type, capacity, service method, and whether there is a practical drain procedure. Those 4 facts tell you more about future serviceability than another 5 horsepower on the brochure. 3. Price the expensive failure before it belongs to you. Ask what a replacement drive unit costs and what the service department charges to install one. On an electric machine, price the battery pack and charger. If you want to bag, price the complete collection system now, not after delivery. You are not predicting failure. You are making sure the first time you learn the number is not when the machine is already broken. 4. Read the warranty twice. First in years and hours. Translate the hour cap into your annual mowing time. Read the exclusions. Wear items, fuel-related issues, storage damage, battery terms, and find the clause that explains when coverage begins and what happens when proof of purchase is missing. 5. Get the real out-the-door number, freight, setup, preparation, dealer fees, accessories, financing terms. If the promotion says 0%, ask whether it is true 0% or deferred interest, what the rate becomes later, and whether unpaid promotional interest can reach back to the purchase date. The sticker is the opening number, not the ownership cost. If a unit has sat through a season or more, negotiate condition. Ask for fresh fuel, simple. Ask for a battery test and replacement if it is weak. Ask for an inspection of belts, tires, and other storage-sensitive parts. If the carbureted fuel system shows signs of stale fuel, have it corrected before delivery. That can be worth more than a small symbolic discount. Compare the savings with the risk you just priced. If the discount is weak and the machine has age-related questions, walk. Do not pay near new money to inherit somebody else's storage time. If the price is strong, the condition checks out, and the numbers make sense, leftover stock can be an excellent buy. Old stock is not bad stock by definition. It is stock that has lost the right to be bought on trust alone. If you service the machine yourself, follow the exact drive unit manufacturer's procedure and interval rather than a universal 50-hour or 100-hour rule. Chalk the wheels. Support the machine with rated stands, not a jack alone. Disable the ignition before working near blades or belts. Follow the manufacturer's lifting and slope limits. The best outcome is boring. You do the checks, maintain the machine early, and the repair you were worried about never becomes a story. Now, the one I said I would seriously consider with my own money. Number 2. The manual gear tractor people walk past because it looks old-fashioned, not because it is perfect. It still has a gasoline engine, a starting battery, fuel, belts, tires, and all the ordinary maintenance that comes with them. I like it because I can understand where the money is hiding. The transmission is mechanically straightforward. It is generally easier to reason about and often cheaper to repair than a small residential hydrostatic drive. It gives up convenience, especially where you change speed constantly, but it gives something back in simplicity, and simplicity ages well. On flat to gently rolling ground, for somebody who wants a machine to cut grass for years and does not care whether the controls feel fashionable, I would rather own the thing I can understand than the thing with the prettier brochure. It is not the most impressive machine on the lot, that is exactly the point. I would rather buy the boring machine now than discover the exciting repair bill later. That is really what this video is about, not tractors, but judgment. Knowing a fluid specification is information. Judgment is standing in front of a shiny machine and figuring out which few parts will decide whether you still like the purchase 6 years from now. It is asking about the transaxle instead of the cup holder, checking the battery platform instead of the badge, measuring the gate before buying the deck, and reading the serial number before the financing banner. Once you learn to look at machines that way, you start doing it everywhere. You ask how long a new car sat before delivery, what compressor is inside a heat pump, whether a pump bearing can be serviced, or what is underneath the upholstery of a chair. Different machines, same question. What part of this thing is going to matter after the salesman is gone? Most people learn that after paying for the answer once. Maybe it happens at a workbench, maybe on an invoice, or maybe an old hand simply points at the part nobody else was watching and says, that is where the money is. If you sell this equipment or work on it for a living, tell me where your experience differs. Floor plan terms vary by lender. Warranty terms vary by brand and year. Drive unit life changes with the exact machine and how it is used. Give me model numbers, service histories, and real examples. I would rather have a mechanic correct one claim precisely than have 100 people argue over paint colors. And one specific question: which single unit has been sitting on your floor the longest, and what is the real reason nobody bought it? Price, deck width, financing, parts support? A bad local reputation, the wrong configuration, something nobody thinks to ask about until the machine has been there for a year? If you know how long the subsidized floor plan period ran on it, say that too. Those answers are more useful than brand loyalty. If this was useful, subscribe. There is one thing I deliberately did not dig into today. Somewhere between the factory and your driveway is a pre-delivery inspection checklist tied to that machine. Somebody is supposed to verify setup before the mower reaches you. What I want to know is what happens to that checklist on the busiest Saturday in spring when 40 units are waiting for prep and the service counter is already backed up. I do not have enough to call that story yet, but I am looking. Until then, before you ask how much they will knock off the tag, ask one question first. How long has this exact machine been sitting here? Then check the numbers